Welcome into Prep Picks. Heather Williams alongside Steve Wilmoth of ESPN Tri-Cities, TriCitySports.com. Both of us, exact same record last week. So, Steve, still have a one-game lead on you in the standings for the little mini huddle that we do, or the mini Prep Picks that we do on TV. Where I'm not keeping track of these other ones
Okay.
because it's just for fun. All of this is just for
Oh,
fun.
I didn't know that.
All right. Well, probably not so fun for Tennessee High anyway. This game that we're going to start with, Science Hill versus Tennessee High. It has been a brutal start to the season for Tennessee High.
Well, a lot of that's the product of the schedule. Let's be fair. Tennessee High playing a very, very tough schedule. We talked last week. The Vikings hadn't been 0-2 since I was 29. They haven't been 0-3 since I was fighting through my last quarter at the University of Tennessee to get that engineering degree that I'm now putting to such good work.
I see that.
That was 1987, but in 87 they played Sullivan South, which was in its heyday, Dobyns-Bennett, and Science Hill. This time it's Westridge, Elizabethton, and Science Hill. These teams haven't played since 2014. Tennessee out last week, fell behind early, but I think maybe found some stuff in the passing game. Jack Richardson, the quarterback, 3 touchdown passes, really played Elizabethton off its feet after that tough start. So I like the Vikings schedule may be tough, but I think we're already seeing the dividends that it may give Tennessee going down the stretch. Meanwhile, Science Hill, just so many options, so many playmakers. Quarterback Lane Clement spreading the ball around. That Tennessee offense, the Science Hill offense with multiple playmakers. Everybody scores, everybody gets touches. It's just going to be too tough for Tennessee. Again, the schedule's been brutal. Disregard the 0-3 start. I think Tennessee is still the second best team in District 1-5A. They may be 0-3 at this point, but it's going to pay dividends down the stretch. I do like Science Hill in this game.
Yeah, I think Tennessee High's played pretty well to start the season. I think that they have a good team, and I agree. They're one of the top teams in their region. They're going to be a playoff team, but your schedule has just been brutal. I mean, you kind of thought if they didn't get West Ridge to start the season that they were going to end up in this position, and here we are. So unfortunately, I'm with you. I'm also going to pick Science Hill in this game. West Ridge and Elizabethton. I love these matchups because most of these matchups are games we haven't seen either in a long time or at least not in recent history. So what do you see in West Ridge and Elizabethton?
Or West Ridge and Elizabethton, never.
Right.
Right. I mean, of course, it's,
Right.
West Ridge only in its 5th year. Coming into this game, West Ridge has more wins than completed passes on the season, 2-1.
Nice.
So West Ridge has run the football on 85 of 88 offensive plays this season. I saw on social media, one person said it's the most boring offense they've ever seen. Last time I checked, winning football games wasn't boring. And that's what West Ridge has done. They're 2-0 for the 3rd straight year. West Ridge has never been 3-0, but they're going up against a Cyclone team. That's very, very good. Obviously played very well against Tennessee last week. Got the most of the offense done through the air. Is that something West Ridge can do against Elizabeth? And yes, they've run it very well. Ethan Amex averaging almost 10 yards a carry on 38 attempts for West Ridge. At some point, they've got to put the football in the air. Elizabethton, I think, will challenge them. They're going to play to stop West Ridge run and see if West Ridge can beat them through the air. I don't think that West Ridge can yet, but they're getting there. This is this is going to be the one that's a toss-up this week, I think, for us. Elizabethton playing at home, senior quarterback, sophomore quarterback for West Ridge. Is that a difference? I don't know. Justice Hilton has been on the sidelines forever. He's seen every venue there is to see. This maybe won't phase him, but still the experience and the overall playmakers of Elizabethton, I think, will win for the Cyclones.
I think this is a really important game for Elizabethton to let us know who they are. In the years that Elizabethton is very, very good, they will get one of those wins against a much bigger team. I already had the opportunity earlier in the year against Science Hill. They didn't quite get it done, though they played pretty well in that game. This is their opportunity to do it. If they can get the win over West Ridge, and you think, oh, okay, well, maybe they're back to the Betsy that we all know. If they don't, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a wasted season for sure. They're going to be a playoff team, but I just think this gives us an idea of which Elizabethton team we have. I think it's good Elizabethton. I'm going to go with you and pick the Cyclones as well. This next game is my favorite game of the week. And I know you're probably very partial to it as well, but I am fascinated by two teams that are separated by less than 10 miles They haven't played in 55 years.
Exactly.
1970 was the last time that Gate City and Dobyns-Bennett played a football game. Steve, talk about this. This is fantastic to me.
The game's been over a half a century in coming, right? You,
Right.
you wonder why it's not been played more. 1970 was the first year of Gate City's 5 state championship teams. Dobyns-Bennett's won 7 state titles, all before 1970. So between the two teams, 12 state championships. Why have they not played more often? One has to ask that question. Gate City last week really dynamic with its offense in the win over Richlands. Two touchdowns of 22 yards, 36, 64, 77. The Blue Devils kind of big played Richlands in that football game. Quarterback Zane Reed has got a couple of nice options at running back, a power runner, a speed runner. Meanwhile, Dobyns-Bennett, they just wear down opponents. They wore down Knox Central in week 1, wore down Asheville last week. That offensive line, Baker Carell at left tackle, Ezra Renderos at left guard, Zakai Williams at center, Cooper Bellamy at right guard, and Mitchell Newhouse at right tackle, plus a tight end room that's got about 4 tight ends in there. They play a lot of 12 personnel, and that physicality, that depth is going to wear down Gate City. I think Dobyns-Bennett wins it.
Gate City, I think, is going to be a very good football team and right in that mix for second, third in the conference, in the Mountain 7 conference. However, Dobyns-Bennett is Dobyns-Bennett. They're a much better team. I had a chance to talk to both of these coaches because this is our Friday Night Huddle game of the week, of course, because I'm fascinated by it. And you can tell the mutual respect that both coaches have of each other's programs. It's very evident. It's part of the reason why this game has come to be. I give mad props to Dobyns-Bennett for playing this game because they don't have to play this game. It really doesn't do anything for them. They're a much smaller school. Gate City is. If Gate City were to win, that would be crushing to Dobyns-Bennett. So mad respect for them to play. I do think Dobyns-Bennett wins. I think Gate City is going to have a great season, but I do think Dobyns-Bennett will get the victory in this one. All right, we've kind of dipped our toe a little bit across the state line, dip a little bit more across the state line for our Friday Night Huddle game this week, which is Daniel Boone at Union.
Now, Union has been dipping its toe into Tennessee the last 2 or 3 years, playing Science Hill for 2 years. Now they go to Daniel Boone, a Boone team that just struggles scoring the ball. I mean, Drew Fleming, their running back and linebacker, he's doing everything he can. We just have to worry about his workload. He had a couple of touchdowns last week, 120-something yards rushing. Meanwhile, Union, with its quarterback Cam Bostic, 5 total touchdowns, they can really score the ball. You just wonder if Boone can keep up offensively with the playmakers of Union. First trip for Boone over there. I talked to Coach Jenkins in the preseason, talked about the respect he has for the programs going back to the Powell Valley days and now the Union days as well. And so I respect both teams for playing this game as well, much like Dobyns-Bennett and Gate City. I love these interstate matchups, but right now Union is just too good for Boone. That's all there is to it. Boone, it's been a struggle. I feel for those guys, but they're still working hard. They're just so much youth, particularly at the quarterback position, so they can't be as diverse offensively as they want to be. And if Fleming can get going and Union can't stop him, Boone's got a chance. But I think Union's defense is up to the task, so I'll take the Bears.
This is the kind of game for a very young Boone team that could help them later in the season because Union is, along with Abingdon and Graham, probably the standard bat bearers in Southwest Virginia. And so to play this kind of game, even if they don't win, it will help them when they get to district play later in the year against the Crockett's and the Tennessee Highs and those kinds of teams. That being said, I mean, Cam Bostic was our News 5 player of the week this past week. He scores every which way, converted wide receiver, now 2-year starter at quarterback. Just too many weapons at Union. I agree. Mad respect for playing this game. I love to see when teams cross the state line, but I'm going to go with Union in this game as well. All right, we've dipped. Now let's go all the way across the state line in Virginia for the Battle of Bragging Rights in Bristol as Virginia High plays John Battle.
Yeah, Virginia High can score the ball. Obviously, they scored a bunch of points. Hey, let's give out some more offensive line shout out. How about it to the big uglies up front for Virginia High? Jaden Linder, Chris King, Ethan Tedder, Clayton Tedder, and Braden Lester. They've really got it done for the Bearcats. They scored the ball 237 yards rushing, 222 yards passing last week in that win. Meanwhile, John Battle, you look at that game against Abingdon. The Trojans had 14 first downs to Abingdon's 10. had 230 yards allowed, but also put up 195 yards offensively. You look at those numbers, that doesn't scream 62-13. But four of Abingdon's first six touchdowns were non-offensive, two pick sixes, a fumble return, a punt return. So Battle just took itself completely out of the game early. They've got to eliminate those mistakes to be competitive in football games. I think they can. I don't know that they can do it this week against Virginia High. That's won 50 of the first 63 matchups between these teams. So I like Virginia higher, but I don't think Battle is as bad as it may have looked last week against Abingdon.
Yeah, no, I was at that game, and I mean, that game got away from them so quickly. And sometimes when it gets away from you like that, it's almost impossible to get it back. And I think that was the case. I do not think that Battle struggles as much as they did in that game for sure. But I also don't think that they have an answer for Deion Graham. He is a prolific passer, thrower. He could do a lot of different things and cause trouble for Battle's defense. And because Virginia High can also run the ball really well, they can just play keep away from Battle. And if Battle has a turnover or two, it's just going to be difficult for them to overcome it. So I'm also going to pick Virginia High in this game. Final game is a battle of two teams with brand new head coaches this year in Lebanon and Patrick Henry.
And a lot of youth for Patrick Henry and a lot of experience, particularly at the quarterback position for Lebanon. Michael Reese, we've talked about him for a bunch. We're going to talk about him all year.
It feels like he's been here for like
Exactly.
10 years at starting quarterback.
385 total yards last week, not all in one dimension, 230 yards through the air, 155 on the ground. So he can really get it done for the Pioneers. Meanwhile, Patrick Henry, only 126 total yards against Virginia High last week. Only one senior on the entire roster. Just doesn't add up well. I like Lebanon in this one.
Yeah, I got a chance to see Patrick Henry play it well, and you can see there's glimpses, but you can also just tell standing on the sidelines the youth in that program. I mean, they're Patrick Henry. They're going to finish it out right because they always have athletes. They always have that one guy that could just pound the rock. They just need to find that and get that, figured out between all their young guys that they have, and I think they will. But I agree, Lebanon just too experienced, too many different weapons for them to get it done. So we are what, six for
Six
six
for six.
in our agreements.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like that, especially early in the season, because a lot of these games are what they are. So I am also going to pick Lebanon in this game. Want more high school sports, especially high school football? Check out this guy's website, tricitysports.com. He'll keep you up to date on all of that. And don't forget to join me Friday, 11:15 on Friday Night Huddle.